Michigan football returns this Saturday at noon for the battle of the George Jewett Trophy. Michigan will be taking on the Northwestern Wildcats at noon Eastern time, and I am excited for this matchup as I am for every other game. Michigan here is heavily favored by 23.5 points and is favored to win 95.1% of the time, according to all of ESPN's computer simulations, also known as the Football Power Index. Today I'm going to be previewing this matchup, and at the end of the video I will give my prediction. If you are new to this channel or have watched it often but have not subscribed yet, consider giving a like, hitting that big old subscribe button and notification bell, thereby joining this awesome community. We just passed 1,600 subscribers, I believe yesterday or this morning. Thank you all for that, and let's get right into football. So first of all, I'm going to preview the Northwestern Wildcats and save what would be cliche to say, but save the best for last. Northwestern, before their win against Rutgers, was in utter disarray, being dominated by Michigan State, even losing to Duke, and, getting humiliated by Nebraska, who is now 3-5 and will probably finish behind Northwestern or around Northwestern in the Big Ten West standings. But Northwestern, as Pat Fitzgerald said, they got a win this past Saturday and a Big Ten win, and that's important. They hit the Control-Alt-Delete button, and now you have Ryan Hilinski connecting with receivers. Him at quarterback is an improvement over Hunter Johnson. Hilinski is thrown for 645 yards, completed 57.6% of his passes. Per average throw, he gains 6.5 yards, is thrown for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and has a 122.3 quarterback rating. Evan Hull and Andrew Clare are the leading rushers for the team. Hull with 95 attempts, Clare with 39. Evan Hull having 562 rushing yards, 5.9 yards a carry. Clare having 234 and 6, respectively, in those categories. Hull has 4 touchdowns. Clare has 1 touchdown. Those are 4 rushing, by the way. On the receiving end of things, you got Stephon Robinson Jr. at wide receiver, who leads the team in receptions with 28, receiving yards with 424, and is tied first with receiving touchdowns with 2. Malik Washington, Marshall Lang, and Trey Puh, who are tight ends, the latter 2 are tight ends, also have 2 receiving touchdowns. Malik Washington has 18 receptions, 255 yards, and as I already mentioned, 2 touchdowns. Northwestern here does not run much of anything fancy on offense. They're not Ohio State. They're not Penn State. They're not even Michigan on offense. But Northwestern under Pat Fitzgerald, they always play sound, disciplined football, and the way they shut down Rutgers, forced a turnover from Rutgers, and forced, from what I remember, a decent amount of penalties off of Rutgers. Northwestern is certainly an improving team on all sides of the ball. Pat Fitzgerald works his butt off with essentially anywhere from 1 to 3 stars. He's very good at developing. And I'm saying this because I know a lot of people might even overlook this game and that Northwestern is a struggling team. But nonetheless, we should take every team seriously. As Michigan, we have to if we want to return to, winning Big Ten championships. On defense, Northwestern is led by Chris Bergen, the linebacker, in total tackles with 62 total tackles. He also has a forced fumble, an interception, a pass defended, and half a sack. Next on the list for your leader in sacks, you have Jeremy Miser, defensive lineman, with 4 sacks. He also has a pass defended. The leader in interceptions is Bryce Jackson and Brandon Joseph, who each have 1, along with Chris Bergen, actually. He also has 1. Brandon Joseph, who's a safety, also has a fumble recovery and 2 passes defended. And your leader with forced fumbles is Rod Hurd II, the defensive back. Northwestern, their defense does allow 23.8 points per game, and they allow 410.8 yards a game. But they have faced Michigan State and Nebraska, who are at times can have very explosive offenses when facing depleted defenses. And Northwestern is a team that had severe attrition compared to last year. Northwestern only gains about 374 yards per game, 203 for the air, about 171 through the ground. They also only score 21.8 points a game. They allow 205 yards passing and rushing, which is great for Michigan. Michigan is led at quarterback by Cade McNamara. In this game, seeing how, Northwestern is an obviously inferior opponent, we should take them seriously. But if you think that Cade might hold you back at the QB position, now would be the time to test out McCarthy. Put in McCarthy for the entire second half, maybe part of the second quarter, or start him, period. I mean, that's just what I think should happen. It'll test him out. Northwestern is not the worst team in the world. They're not like a lower-end MAC school. They are just a lower-end Big Ten school. So, at least this year, not all years. I'm not trying to discredit or roast Northwestern here. But I'd say try him out. He's only had 14 passing attempts. In that range, he's completed 64.3% of his passes, gained 12.7 yards per average throw. He's had 2 touchdowns, no picks. He's only been sacked once. He has a quarterback rating of 218.2. Nonetheless, Cade has, who is right now the starter, 986 yards, completes 60.5% of his passes, has 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, also 1 sack, has a quarterback rating of 142.3. He is an ideal game manager. He's only made, I'd say, 1 critical mistake, which was the interception against Nebraska. I don't expect that to be a common theme here, especially as Nebraska was, I'd say, played their best game all year against Michigan. But who knows? I'm right now in the start McCarthy camp, and whether you like that or not, it's just my opinion. You can disagree all you want. What we cannot disagree on, no matter if you're a Michigan fan or not, if you're a college football fan, you have to agree that Blake Corum and Hassan Haskins is one of the best running back duos in the country. Blake Corum, with 610 rushing yards, has 6.3 yards per rush average and 8 touchdowns, with a long of 67. Hassan Haskins, with his long of 50 yards, is 8 touchdowns, 4.9 yards a carry, which is good for him, mainly being a power back from what I understand. He also has 492 rushing yards. Haskins has 101 carries. Corum has 97. I like what Mike Hart has done. They've even gotten Donovan Edwards in some games. Donovan Edwards has 17 attempts, 121 yards, rushes for 7.1 yards averaged carry, and he has 2 touchdowns. I also like the jet sweeps and end arounds we were doing earlier this season. Tried some against Wisconsin, and they didn't necessarily work. Maybe we tried some against Nebraska, though I don't remember seeing them, or at least seeing them end very successfully. It'd be nice to see us try some new things against Northwestern. McCarthy has also been used, or been attempted to be used at least, on some read options. He's used in a quarterback sneak, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Harbaugh constantly says he wants to get him more involved, and he's been getting more involved, especially in the rushing sense. Our main receivers are Cornelius Johnson and Dalen Baldwin. Cornelius Johnson with 14 receptions, 282 yards, 20 yards per average catch, and 3 touchdowns. Dalen Baldwin with 2 touchdowns, 219 yards, 12 receptions, 18.3 yards per reception. Dalen Baldwin's 2 touchdown passes were from, you guessed it, J.J. McCarthy. Roman Wilson was out during the Nebraska game, but oh wow. He's been ruled out of Nebraska, which we all knew, but from what I hear, I think it is expected for him to be in for the Northwestern game. Haven't heard anything on that yet, but I heard it wasn't a major injury, so I'm kind of expecting him to be back. Mike Sanistril, Eric all the names you know. Blake Corum actually has 14 receptions on his own for 102 yards and a touchdown. He's been very effective out of the backfield, receiving passes and then just forcing his way forward for extra yards. I'm really proud of him for that. Jake Moody has been clutch, only missing 1 field goal. That 1 field goal being from the 40 to 49 yard range and making all of his extra points thus far. He is very important on offense, and the Nebraska game showed that. On defense, this team is led by Josh Ross, the linebacker, in total tackles with 40. He also has half a sack and 1 pass defended. Daxton Hill leads the team in interceptions with 2, and he is tied with Vincent Gray and Brad Hawkins, who are also defensive backs. Those two, well, Vincent Gray is more of a cornerback, Brad Hawkins, the strong safety. Daxton Hill is, again, 2 picks, 4 passes defended. Hawkins has 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. Very clutch in that Nebraska matchup. Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo are tied with 4.5 sacks each. Ojabo also has 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. Aiden Hutchinson has 1 forced fumble. The guy also blocked a field goal. And Michigan's defense here is a team that they are a bend but not break defense. They allow 310 total yards. They actually, last time I checked, don't know if this still stands, but they led the Big Ten East in passing yards allowed. And granted, we haven't faced a team that passes very often. We were exposed against Nebraska, but that still shocked me because coverage, I would say, is one of our weaknesses in a certain sense. But this defense is definitely a bend but not break defense, allowing 310 yards per game, but only allowing 15.5 points per game, to be honest. We allow 119 rush yards a game, 190 pass yards a game. We rush for about nearly 250 yards a game, which is cool, and just under 200 yards passing. I would like to see the offensive numbers go up, of course, but you can't ask for everything. So I have previewed these 2 teams. I think, mainly giving stats, of course, and my opinions occasionally. I think have been pretty fair. So I am going to give my prediction. Michigan is 5-1 against the spread, mind you. Northwestern is 2-4. My prediction here is that Northwestern, they might have moments where they do hold us and, kind of keep it close. That might be a thing. But in the end, I do think Michigan covers the spread here and that this game looks more like Michigan's matchup against NIU than it does Michigan's matchup against Rutgers. I'd say if we matched up against Northwestern the way we did against Rutgers, we might be in trouble. I don't think that's the case, though. Michigan is the better running backs, better quarterback, better wide receivers, better line. Michigan's more talented all around. They're at home. If Pat Fitzgerald was to somehow pull this off, well, we should clap for Pat Fitzgerald and give him the accolades he deserves. And number 2, we should question Jimmy and why he allowed such a loss to happen. But I don't think that's going to happen. Michigan's going to get a big win here. It's going to set up for an undefeated matchup in East Lansing. I'm very excited for that game. And that's just my prediction. Michigan probably wins 56-10. or something around those lines. That might be too far, but that's kind of what I am thinking here. It's after the bye. We're going to want to get focused. We're going to want to test some new things out, and we'll see. If you like this video, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment your thoughts down below. What do you think Michigan and Northwestern, what do you think the result's going to be? Do you think it's going to be a big win, a win that is too close for comfort? Do you think Northwestern even gets the upset? What do you think happens in this game? And what do you think of Michigan right now? Do you think they're overrated, underrated? Tell me in the comments below. Let's have an awesome college football discussion all about Michigan. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you around.